the evidence of learning data released this week, measuring students' efficiency in student education. The data measures the proficiency for students in kindergarten, third grade, sixth grade, and ninth. Reardon, overall in math, only half of these students met the benchmarks. More shocking is that 70% are proficient in kindergarten, which is kind of shocking, but by sixth grade, only 48.9% are meeting the EOL benchmarks, which means that the longer a student is in the MCPS, the less they learn.
That is so ironic. And I saw a quote from one of the administrators saying, well, that's unfortunate. And I would offer, no, that's actually tragic. We need to address that. But it's also somewhat predictable in that the county, with the county shutdown, what they're teaching, the basic curriculum. And we got to also understand money doesn't solve problems. Just throwing money at something is not necessarily going to solve the problems. We need to look at the ratio of students to administrators and make sure that, and teachers, to make sure that we have a better ratio. And again, like you said, people are leaving Montgomery County. They came here for the school systems, jobs, and public safety. And those are things that Montgomery County is basically failing on. And those are things we need to address.
Well, you went to Wooten High School. Is the quality of education the same as you had when you graduated from Wooten?
I'd say it's definitely different. When I went to school, there's a strong focus on what we would call STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And now I think the curriculum is also more focused on social issues, which I don't think are going to carry our students to the best paying jobs when they get out of school and when they have to be on their own.
So, Mike, you've been deeply involved in educational issues. What is your assessment of these proficiency examinations? And is it just, bad luck that some of these students had to go to school during the pandemic, or is there a fundamental problem in the way Montgomery County educates its students?
I think the answer to that is yes. I think there's some positive elements in what you said. So the fact that we have a high level of proficiency with kindergartners is good because it points to the impact we've had in increasing early care and education in the county. And I think you're seeing that as a benefit. So I think that's a positive. I think the challenge with you're looking at sixth graders is the last 3 years, they've had an array of teaching modalities. And I think that's been a real challenge. And we've seen that across the entire country. So I don't buy the premise that they get less educated as they go through Montgomery County public schools. I think it's a result of the pandemic, but I appreciate the tongue-in-cheek nature in which you presented that. I think one of the things that's really important, if we're going to look for significant increased investment in schools, there's got to be a clear plan. You go back 20 years ago and you look at the challenges we had between underperforming schools and those who were actually meeting the challenges. And we ended up establishing what were called the red zone and the green zones to be able to make sure we had targeted interventions in schools that were challenging or for populations that really need additional support. If you look at what the MCPS has put out this year, it's basically 12 bullets of nice things. We should target mathematics and literacy. We should fairly compensate our community heroes, our teachers. We produce highly skilled workers. We talk about these things, but there's no substance behind it that I've been able to find. And I think we've got to really have a clear plan of what are we going to do in math and English literacy for the array of students that we have, the very culturally diverse schools that we have, and be able to do that. And I haven't seen that plan. And I think that's the challenge that we have. And I don't think anybody can clearly articulate what that plan is.
Well, we only have a brief amount of time left, and I did want to touch briefly on the incidence of anti-Semitism and racial stereotypes that are occurring at some of the schools. I don't know if we have time to do that, but if anyone has a couple of a minute of thoughts on that, I'll turn it over to either one of you. No idea. Now, the hard thing is the superintendent wants to challenge this by having, group meetings and concentrating on this. I think it's a problem that begins in the home, not in the school. But that's just my philosophy on this. And unfortunately, Mike, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We're running out of time. We'll save that. We'll say, which is a much broader and bigger topic.
It is.
We'll save it for another week. When we come back from this short break, is the answer to having an educated business workforce to make community colleges free. And President Biden will be 86 when his second term ends. Stay tuned.